Oh yeah. Oh righty, people.
All right, Nessa, why are we here today?
Yeah,
What's
why
going
are
on?
we here?
Are we back? Are we back on the show?
Back from our month break.
Yeah, needed that month to recover. Had a lot happen to me over that month period. A lot of great things, so very happy about that. But I'm Kyle,
I'm Tom.
and this is Gaslight Upkeep, baby.
Baby. So today we have Modern Horizons 3. With this new set that is coming out, I gotta say, it's definitely kind of nice, especially compared to like the premium package that they had come out for Commander Masters. I feel like this is a bit of a turnaround, although there is a lot of reprints from what we discussed. What are your initial thoughts, Kyle?
It's a premium set, no doubt about that. There's a lot of cards that they're throwing that have a lot of flair in them. There's a lot going on when it comes to Eldrazi's, energies, landfall. They're bringing a lot of those mechanics and giving them a big uplift. Now, that's my thoughts on it. I think it's great, especially considering I do enjoy enchantments, auras, as well as that. I do like 1/1, +1/+1, and tokens. So there's a lot of great cards in there. Those are pretty much the mechanics that I enjoyed the most coming out of this set. What about yourself?
I really do like the fact that they have commander cards in here that are now flipped modal into planeswalkers. And so I talk about it in one of my commanders, but they got I think like 4 or 5 that are in this set right now, and a lot of them are really good. A few that really stood out. But besides that, we got the Eldrazi's back too. And that's also another huge staple in this set. Let's just get right into it.
Commander time. Tom, get it on.
Okay, yeah, I'll get it on right now. So for my commander that I ended up going with was Tamiyo. Good old Tamiyo always seems to find her way back into the sets. Anyways, with this commander, it's a modal card. On the front side, it's going to be 1 blue creature, or 1 blue legendary creature, Tamiyo Inquisitive Student. Going from there, we have a legendary Moonfolk Wizard, flying 0/3. Whenever Tamiyo Inquisitive Student attacks, get to investigate. And then when you draw your 3rd card in a turn, you exile Tamiyo and you get to flip it to its transformed Planeswalker form, Tamiyo Seasoned Scholar. And then it comes out with 2 loyalty counters. Its +2 ability is until your next turn, whenever a creature attacks you or Planeswalker you control, it gets -1, -0 until end of turn. For the -3 effect, you get to return an instant or sorcery card from the graveyard to your hand. If it's a green card, you get to add mana of 1 any color. And then for the -7, which is the one that we really want to go for, draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library, rounded up. You get the emblem, you have no maximum hand size. This card is crazy as a commander.
No.
Because if the way how I figured that you would play this, turn 1 Tamiyo, turn 2 Brainstorm, flip Tamiyo, because now you drew the 3 cards. Tamiyo is now Planeswalker, you get the +2 the ability, so you're at turn 2, 4 loyalty counters already. Turn 3, add an Ichor Moon Gauntlet, or throw in the Landfall Evolution Sage. Whenever land enters battlefield, proliferate. Hit that +2 again, you're going to be at 7 already. And then with that 7, -7 on the ability, you're going to draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library by turn 3. That's insane.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, this is a proliferate deck. Like,
yeah,
through and through.
It's because you want to run the proliferate to hit that extra loyalty counter that you need by turn 3. If you want to hit -7, guess what? Turn 3, you draw half your deck. What? Hopefully, there's no Sheldred out or a Nekuzar, because then you lose. But still, though, I mean, this deck really goes good. And then throw in like a Rad Storm just for poops and giggles. Why not?
No, sir, are you giggling?
I'm giggling.
I'm glad he's giggling. Oh, it's a great card. With the way that you explained it too, as you were reading the card out, I should say, with the loyalty counters, I was like, this would be good for proliferate. And lo and behold, next slide is Ichor Moon Gauntlet. That's what I would use it for, just like wheeling and dealing. And if you put like any type of mill in here as well while you're drawing,
I mean,
throw like a fractured sanity, just like.
I mean, you can do a lot of things, but the cool thing about this is that it also really can be like a Thassa deck, Thassa Oracle,
Oh yeah.
or Jace, right? Basically, you're just trying to draw your whole entire deck out.
Gotcha.
And if you can turn 3, draw half your deck right there, you're already halfway winning. Just do another thing where, I don't know, maybe you can... there's a couple different ways that you can draw out your deck, but regardless, it's a great commander. Turn 3, draw half your deck.
We're gonna go to my commander now.
Yeah.
I've got Arna, Kenarud, Sky Captain, 2 and Esper. Human Knight, 4/4, legendary creature. It's got flying and lifelink. It's got ward, discard a card. Its ability, I love this because of the enchantment and auras, but whenever a modified creature you control attacks, double the number of each kind of counter on it. Then for each non-token permanent attached to it, create a token that's a copy of that permanent attached to that creature. So I'm thinking auras, I'm thinking +1/+1. I'm even thinking artifacts, but I'd probably stick or mainly focus around auras. Maybe I'd want like a sort of wealth and power, the new one, because it's got protection from instants and sorceries. So
It's a good one.
I honestly think it's almost better than like a counter. I don't know.
The thing that's really nice about this card is that it comes out with a ward cost, or it comes out with,
Yeah.
and it's a discard card. So it's you're punishing the player automatically if they try to target it. So
Yeah.
at least have some survivability.
Mm. But like I said, I would stick more around the drawing cards, and then as well with the aura ability, I would probably put in like Ledger Shredder to start putting stuff in my graveyard, as well as putting 1/1 counters on it, just to kind of get through my deck faster. Fiend, Scheming Seer as well. It's got ward, and then whenever I attack, target attacking creature connives X times, where X is the number of attacking creatures, so I'm just shuffling through my deck faster.
And +1/+1 counters.
Mm-hmm.
And I triggers are really good.
Exactly, and then the obvious staples, all that glitters, Pure Steel Paladin, Mystic Forge, Nerd Rage from Fallout I liked a lot, because when it enters the battlefield, you get to draw 2 cards, and then the enchanted creature gets +10/+10 if I have 10 or more cards in hand, on top of the ability of you no longer have a maximum hand size. Then finally throw in Ariette the Beguiler, because who doesn't want to just throw out a bunch of enchantments, start copying them, and then attaching them to my opponent's creatures, thus giving me all of those creatures. It's going to be a fun time for me, bad time for everyone else. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, when you mentioned the enchantment auras where you're gaining control of other people's cards, now that you gain control of them, you're copying those enchantment auras that are gaining control of people's cards again. So now you're just taking everyone's creatures. I hate it.
Maybe throw in an Anointed Procession for some fun doublers on top of it.
Someone stop this, man.
But that's why I like it. I like it a lot. It's got at least 4 or 5 different ways to go about the deck, and that's what makes it even more fun, because you could do equipment, you could do auras, you could even do knights, or you can do +1/+1s. So there's a lot of utility. I'm excited to see what the other people out there like you guys are building around. If you are making an Arna deck, would love to see that on Moxfield. But that's going to be my commander, unless you have something else you want to add, Tom.
No, you covered it all.
Awesome.
Great commander.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to go over to our fire faves next.
Alrighty, we got ourselves some final faves. Final faves.
That we do.
So, Kyle, you want me to go first?
I mean, I'm already right here. Might as well let my better cards go first.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to start off with green. Eladamri Corvig Doll. It's 1 generic and then 2 forests. It's an elf warrior. It's a 3/3. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Then its ability is 1 forest. Tap it. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control. Reveal a card from your hand or the top card of your library. If you reveal a creature this way, put it onto the battlefield. Activate only during your turn. What? Like, if this was 2 colors, I mean, you can make a green deck just around this as well. Big stompy things for sure. You got a couple mana dorks out there, and then tap them and start revealing creature cards and putting them onto the battlefield. Like, this is a kill on sight instantly when you see this on the battlefield. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's like 2 cards combined between Augur of Autumn, but with that whole entire first 2 sentences, that's been proven to be really good already. And it's on a 3 mana card, and it has the ability to not only put a card from the top of your card in your library, because now you can see it, but also from your hand too. By tapping 2 creatures. And you're in green. You're going to have 2 creatures.
Oh yeah, this is an absolute slay.
Just like
Any creature-centric deck, you don't even really need to have creatures. This is just an easy way for you to be able to look at the top of your card. So that's going to be my first one. My next one is going to be Disruptor Flute. It's an artifact, 2 generic. As it enters the battlefield, I get to choose a card name, probably your commander. Spells with the chosen name cost 3 more to cast, which is generic. And then activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. If your commander, very unlikely unless you're a landfall-centric deck, is really going to have mana abilities on that. So this is an instant stop where you're utilizing any type of card to get rid of it. That's what is an immediate thought when I see this come onto the battlefield, because now you're slowing them down. You're making them pay 3 generic more. What are your thoughts on it?
Is this a counter card?
Yeah, it has flash.
This is like a counter card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, flash enters the battlefield, choose a card name, the card that you cast. Now it's going to cost 3 more to cast. Let me know if that's how the rule works.
So what is it? Spellslinger Tithe, I think, is the creature that is like that, except it's only in your hand.
The only thing is like when the person casts the card, I believe it's not a counter card because they already cast it. So once that cast activation happens, it's already done.
It might
choose the name of whatever that person casted after when you play Disruptor Flute. It's saying that it costs 3 more to cast, but if you already cast it, then it doesn't matter. So I guess it's not a counter card, but
we'll have to see, because I think it could be
basically a Curse of Silence.
Because when I see someone going to tap their mana, and it looks like they're going to go cast their commander with this flash, don't I have the ability to...
Yeah, you're right. I mean, here's the thing.
Like in a tournament...
Flash, so it should
in a tournament, you tap that mana is full. You're no longer using it for it. It will then be drained after that phase is over. That's what I believe is how it would work.
Yeah, because you're trying to cast it, so the cast trigger happens, and then if you make the cast trigger cost more than what it is, then I think they just have to pay 3 more.
Yeah, because
I'm pretty sure that it is counter.
In a tournament, the moment I tap that mana, that land for mana, it's you don't get to untap it and switch it around. No.
Well, you just won't be able to cast it anymore.
Yeah.
And then it just comes back to you.
Exactly. We're in agreement. So that's why I think it's an absolute slay. Absolutely. So that's going to be my second one. My third one is going to be Sylvan Safekeeper. It is 1 green. I love this because its ability is sacrifice a land. Target creature you control gains Shroud until end of turn. So if I'm putting this in any, I don't know, landfall, graveyard, recursion theme decks. Honestly, I think if you're playing anything with green or black for landfall, I mean, you have to have green to begin with. But if you're doing Golgari, it's the best combination for it. Or even if you're doing 4th Thalia and the Gitrog monster, I would be putting this in that deck in the 99 all day. Exactly, because you're bringing your lands back from the graveyard often. You've got a bunch of spells that are in there. So I think it's a great utility and protection card because, one, you're putting more lands in the graveyard. But that's going to be my third one. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It goes right in my Borbori Gamos. It's so good. This card has the ability to just protect any of your creatures. And if you're in that land-centric graveyard style recursion deck, It's a fire fade. It's a shot.
Yeah. So, and my final one is going to be Ocelot Pride, 1 white mana. It is a cat. It's a 1/1. It's got first strike and lifelink. It's got Ascend, which means if I control 10 or more permanents, I get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. And then at the beginning of my end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. Then if you have the city's blessing for each token you control that's entered the battlefield this turn, create a token that's a copy of it. I like this a lot because, one, if I have this in the later game and I have 10 permanents out, this automatically gives me the city's blessing, so I don't even care about life gain anymore. I wouldn't want to play this in the beginning too much unless I did have a little bit of a focus around lifelink, other than it attacking, but I'm probably not going to attack with this card very often unless I do get it out like right then and there.
I mean, you might get like 1 or 2 attacks in.
Yeah, like at most. So unless somebody tries to kill it immediately, which,
I mean, when you're running white, you're bound to get some type of life gain. Other cool thing about this is just for each token you control that enter the battlefield, create a copy. Yeah, I mean, you're just doubling your tokens basically.
yeah,
It's a 1 mana anointed procession.
it has the limiter on it, so you wouldn't want to play it in the beginning because you would need to play it with 10 or more permanents.
Still 1 mana anointed procession.
Absolutely. But
you have to meet conditions, but still 1 mana
yeah,
procession.
exactly. So this is definitely going in a token deck. But those are going to be my fire faves. We're going to go over to Tom's now. And then
my not so important fire phase. Now time for my the less important fire phase, I guess.
let them be the judge.
All right, for the first one that we're going with, that's right, it's blue. It's Volatile Stormdrake for 2 mana creature. So it comes out as a 3/2 flying hexproof with activated and triggered abilities. When it enters the battlefield, exchange control of Volatile Stormdrake and target creature an opponent controls. If you do, you get 4 energy counters. Then sacrifice that creature unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value. Yeah, this card's good. In a proliferate deck, to take someone else's card away from them, switch it with Volatile Drake, I mean, you're automatically going to be able to keep one of the cards at least 1 turn if it's 4 mana or less. Now, on top of that, it's also a 2 mana destroy a card in a sense, because you're taking it and then you're going to sacrifice it. Granted, they get to keep Volatile Stormdrake, but not that it really matters. But if you throw in a proliferate deck with this type of card, now you get to keep that card for however long you can keep up with the energy counters. And if you're playing around an energy-centric deck, this card becomes really good.
Yeah, so this is a control card where you're basically stealing the other creature as long as you meet the conditions of having enough energy for when you play this.
Yeah, but you also get to kill that creature regardless, because that creature is getting sacrificed at the end. So it's a 2 mana destroy also. So it has 2 different effects. When you get to steal a creature, you get to use it, but 2, you also get to destroy it.
No, I mean, that's if you don't pay the energy cost.
Yeah, you get to sacrifice the creature. So if you have something ridiculous out, but I just happen to have the Volatile Stormdrake, I'm going to take it, I'm going to use it, and then maybe I might make some use of it, depending on the way how my deck's built.
I would just want to keep it. Take something strong.
Yeah, but at worst, you get to destroy it. That's your worst situation.
See what I'm saying, people? Less fire faves.
Shut up! This is a good-ass card!
Okay, go into your next one, then.
Anyways, next one's going to be Grist, Voracious Larva. Once again, this could be your commander as a 1 mana cost. So, Grist, Voracious Larva, 1 green, legendary creature insect, comes out as a 1/2, has Death Touch, and whenever it or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it entered from your graveyard, or you cast it from the graveyard, you can pay 1 additional green. If you do, you get to flip it, and it becomes the Planeswalker itself, where it comes out with 3 loyalty counters, Grist the Plague Swarm, +1 loyalty. You get to create a 1/1 black green insect creature token. Then you mill 2 cards, and you put a death touch counter on the token if it was a black card was milled this way. -2, you're destroying a target artifact or enchantment, and then -6 for each creature card in your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 black green insect. This thing can be silly. In my eyes, I see this being played as a turn 1, turn 2, play both a Village Rites and a Malakir Rebirth. So now you get to return it back from the graveyard. Oh, it says it has to be cast. No, enter from the battle or from the graveyard. So you can do that turn 2 and then have it flip by turn 2. And then this way you'll be able to have the Planeswalker side out turn 2. And just mill your deck out, maybe destroy some artifacts and enchantments in the process. But ideally, you want to have this thing survive for an extra 3 turns. You do also have proliferate cards in green, which is great. Cranker Bloom, Evolution Sage. And then from that point forward, just ultimate. And then you're going to be taking all those cards that are in your graveyard right onto the battlefield as 1/1 green insects. To me, that's pretty cool effect. I like it. I like it a lot. Nothing?
Nada.
Like this man doesn't play Green Golgari.
Nope.
Says the person with Gave.
That ain't Golgari, bruh.
Yeah, but it has Golgari colors in it. Anyways.
It's got Selesnya colors in it, too.
Anyways, whatever. Ajani, Nactal, or Nacatl, Pariah. It is a 1 white, 1 generic legendary creature cat warrior. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/1 cat warrior creature token, and then whenever one or more cats you control die, you may exile Ajani and then return to the battlefield transform. Goes great with the Ocelot Pride, and then with that, when it flips, Ajani Cattle Avenger comes out with 3 loyalty counters. You get the +2, its first ability. Put a +1/+1 on each cat you control. For the 0 cost, you create a 2/1 cat creature token. When you do, if you control a red permanent other than Ajani, he deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to any target. That's 0. That's awesome. And then for the -4, each opponent chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, a planeswalker from among the non-land permanents they control, then sacrifices the rest. I think this is awesome. I think this is great. Cats are back on the map again. I mean, they've always been on the map, if you ask me. Pair this with the Felidar Retreat. Pair this with the Ocelot Pride. I mean, you have Boros cats. I love it. Thank you. God, would you, what do you guys say about the card? Anything?
If you're not making a cat deck, this doesn't matter.
Yep, but cats. Woo!
Are there any more fire faves?
Nah. I like them all. These are the ones I like.
Alright, we're gonna go to Slayer Nay.
So after I've been absolutely ruthlessly disrespected on my fire faves, we're now going to our Slayer Nays. Alright, Kyle. You want to do this first one since you put it in?
We'll start with Power Balance. 2 red enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you do, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost if the 2 spells have the same mana value. I think this is a super fun card. You get to really throw a gambling aspect into it. Plus, whenever an opponent casts a spell, I may. So I don't have to do this every time. But if I'm trying to wheel my deck to that certain card that I need, and I could potentially play it for free, I would do it all the time.
Yeah, I'm surprised you even chose this. You don't usually play red, but here you are.
It's just a sick card. Like, I have a couple of decks that have red in it, but like, I don't play a thing where it's red dominant now. But I think this is an absolute slay. What about you?
Kyle's just been edging himself trying to make an Izzet deck, and I think it's getting closer.
I may or may not have bought the Outlaw pre-con deck.
Oh, did you really buy Stella?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it came in the other day before the cruise.
Yeah, no, Power Balance is is a banger. I'm glad you chose this card. It was really good. 2 red mana for just this effect. With you, chances are you're probably going to run into some people that are going to be playing the same cards or same mana value cost as their top cards. Especially if you're running around with 2-3 mana cost spells in your deck. Very likely good chance that you're going to be flipping and casting your cards for free, especially if they're draw cards.
Absolutely. That's why I think it's an absolute slay.
Absolute slay.
What do we got next, Tom?
Ashling, Flame Dancer, 2 in red, legendary elemental shaman. It comes out as a 4/4, has the text saying you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. We already know that's a good mechanic. On top of that, for Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, discard a card, then draw a card. Looting's good. If this is the second time this ability has resolved, it deals 2 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. Holy crap, it's like an End of Festivities twice. And then if it does it a third time, for that third spell cast / copy, you get to add 4 red mana. This card is awesome. I love it. You get to have the Magecraft mechanic on here. You have draw, discard, looting. You don't lose unspent red mana. And you also have the ability to, 1, not only have a double End of Festivities effect, but 2, also ramp. Like, this is so good in so many red Storm decks. Urbrask, Bergie, they're excited about this.
Yeah. Everything you said.
Great input, Kyle.
Thank you.
Great input. Just like in my eyes.
I just, I don't have any specific cards I would put this in, but it's just an automatic put in for anything that you want to burn and just keep copying spells and keep just going off of those effects.
Just imagine playing one of the copy cards like what is it? I know there's one, Dual Strike. Dual Strike is one of them. So you play Dual Strike, and then you play a Jessica's Will.
I was thinking of Jessica's Will this whole time.
You play the Jessica's Will, you copy it, that's 2 of them right there, so you're resolving the first 2 parts of the ability, and then all you gotta do is cast, I don't know, throw in a Grape Shot. Now you're just copying a crap ton of stuff. Like, this card pops off. It pops off! So good. I love it. Storm decks are here.
Good card. What do we have next? Because you chose that one as well.
Oh, we got ourselves the Eldrazi Dragon. Heragast, Erupting Nullkite. Legendary creature, comes out as a 6/6, has the emerge cost for 6 generic, 2 red. When you cast this spell, you may exile your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. And then each creature spell you cast has emerge, and the emerge cost is equal to its mana cost. Emerge is a great thing. In red, there's a good chance that you will be willing to sacrifice your creature. And if one of those creatures just happens to be like 3 or 2 mana worth, you're going to reduce that emerge cost even further. And the ability to exile your hand, if you have no cards in your hand, you exile it, you're just going to be drawing 3 cards. So it comes out as a 6/6, it's flying. Each creature you control then has the emerge cost itself, so if you need to sacrifice other cards to, create this awesome deck, throw this in a Rakdos sacrifice deck. You're already going to be, making good use of that emerge cost. You're going to be drawing cards. It's good. I think it has great synergies. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Kyle?
I was just going to chime in and say I would see this in Rakdos the Muscle.
Fits in a sacrifice synergistic deck that involves red, right? But you typically want to cast it and sacrifice another creature.
Where you at, Nessa? What are you doing? Daddy wants Oreos. Can crush some Oreos right now. But we're back to the slay or nay.
Hey.
Tomatha, we're on green. I'm going to get right into it. Thanks for the support. Phenomenal. Fanatic of Ronas. 1 generic, 1 green. It's a snake druid. It comes in a 1/4 for power toughness. It's got tap, add 1 green. Then it's got ferocious, which you can tap it and add 4. Activate only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Then you have Eternalize. 2 generic, 2 green. Exile this card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie snake druid with no mana cost. Eternalize only as a sorcery. This is a great utility card because of the fact that it's a mana dork. It's got double mana dork if you got bigger creatures, so you're thinking Elysian Carotid.
Quadruple mana dork.
Exactly. It is just the green though, but to be able to get that jump and then the eternalizes, you can just get it afterwards as well, and it comes back even stronger. This is a great card that's always, I think it should be in a lot of people's 99s. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, great card. It's everything that you said. Mana dork that can get quadruple for bigger creatures.
Wow, so it's like he has nothing to say on my cards too. So a big fat F you.
I mean, what else am I gonna say? It's just the fact that like you throw this in like a Gore Claw type deck.
No, it's
where you're looking at creatures power 4 greater or 5 greater, whatever. Throw Garrick's Uprising with this. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you could do. Green centric, yeah, this is slag.
Next up, we have 6, 2 generic, 1 green. It's a tree folk 2/4. It has reach. Whenever 6 attacks mill 3 cards, you may put a land card from among them into your hand. As long as it's your turn, non-land permanent cards in your graveyard have retrace, which is you may cast permanent cards from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying their other costs. So just like, what was the other card that we were just talking about?
Well, I mean, this is like Blossoming Tortoise, right?
Yeah, I was also going to say just like this would be great with Eladamri as well because of the fact of its abilities that it has.
Yeah.
They mesh well together.
It fits great with Eladamri. I mean, the cool thing about this, it's also a creature that's a 2/4 with reach, so you have a good blocker. So I
think it's a slay.
Yeah, I will give it a slay. The one thing that really does give it greatness is just the fact of that retrace. Retrace really makes it good.
Oh yeah. So that's gonna be all for the green because I put most of those in my fire faves. Next up we have blue. Tom, I know I chose this one, but I feel like you can read it too.
Amphibian Downpour. 2 generic.
What is it called? What's the card called? I couldn't hear you. You were cackling. Bleep.
Thank you, Kyle. Anyways, it's an enchantment aura. You guys heard what I said. Flash Storm, enchant creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a blue frog creature with base power 1 toughness. This is interesting. This is a storm on the enchantment aura. I mean, cool thing about this is the fact that you can turn a lot of commanders into 1/1 baseless power without any abilities and without any or with a 1/1 base power.
Now put this in any storm deck. You don't need Pongify anymore. You don't need Imprisoned in the Moon. I mean, you could still have those for more control aspects, but like you just play a couple of storm doubling cards. You play this, or you just play 1 storm doubling card, and you've taken out the entire board.
Honestly, what I would think is like if there's in a commander game.
That's only in those are only instants and sorceries.
Yeah. So one thing I will say is that if you have this in a commander game, you're gonna have people. They might play multiple spells on one person's turn, and you could be the last person to play this spell. And then before you know it, people might have already had at least casted 6 things beforehand. And then you get to actually play this at the end of the turn, and then boom, you're pretty much doing a board, like lose all ability, become 1/1 creatures type thing.
Definitely getting a big target on your back.
Yeah.
Alright, but that's a slay in my eyes. How about you?
It's a slay.
Awesome. And then what do we got up next, Tom?
Harbinger of the Seas. 1 generic.
Harbinger?
Harbinger of the Seas. Yeah, true. 1 generic, 2 blue. Creature, Merfolk. Oh, jeez, wizard. Non-basic lands are islands. You have yourself the Blood Moon on blue now. Granted, it is a creature, so it's very destroyable. But, I think it's aight. It could be really good. I don't know. Against multicolored decks, absolutely good. Against monocolored decks, not really good. The other big issue is protecting it. But you're in blue. I have mixed feelings about the card, to be honest.
I mean, but you know, there's path to ancestry. There's you have plenty of utility, even if it is a monocolor, because any like utility land. I'm just trying to think of you know, you could do dust down, the destroy non-basic land. That's a specialty land. I can't remember the name of it, but it'll be above. It's a utility card, like you said, though. It does have the creature vulnerability.
Yeah, that's the only issue that I do have with the card. But overall, it's a stacks card, and it can actually prevent people from winning the game. So I'll give it a slay, but every now and then you might play it and you're gonna realize, this card's not doing shit.
So what you're saying is that this should go in my Aloro deck.
Conditioning, depending. If it goes in your Aloro deck, guess what? Your non-basic lands are islands now.
That's true. I'm still gonna give it a slay. It's a good blue stacks card.
I'll give it a slay. I think it's meant for mono blue. I don't really think it's supposed to be in anything else.
You could put this in your Emery deck.
I could. It also goes great with merfolks.
Yeah, if you're doing tribal. But so we're giving it a slay. The last one on the blue that we have is Strix Serenade. It's a 1 blue mana. Instant. Counter target artifact, creature, or planeswalker spell. Its controller creates a 2/2 blue bird creature token with flying. It is... Oh my god, I can't believe that I can't remember the name right now. It's literally the one that's the opposite of it. It's enchantment. It's instant sorcery or enchantment is the other
Swan
one.
Song?
Thank you. It's just the opposite version of this. I think it's great to be thrown into this set and into the formats.
Yeah, it's a 1 mana counter creature, 1 mana counter artifact, 1 mana counter planeswalker. I think that's good.
Absolutely. So slay for me.
Like,
What do we have next up for black?
so for the Slayer Day Black, we have Ripples of a Death. It's 1 black, 1 generic enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards. Then you may pay 1 and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those into your hand. Decent. Has mill synergies. You have to pay the extra mana, which is what kills me about this, to put the card in the hand. But overall, it's decent. Is it a slay, though?
Costs 2 mana.
It costs 2 mana. Yeah, I'll give it a slay. Because I don't see any downside effects besides having to pay an extra mana for that extra card. But card value is great. Card draw, whatever, is great. Paying an extra mana, that's good. You get the mill too.
And if you have a reanimation deck, you're getting them in there faster. It's just another utility towards it.
Yeah.
So slay in my eyes.
Yeah, because you don't... Because, like, if you do mill a... Like, one of the reanimation cards, now you can bring it back to your hand.
Yep. Boom. Next up, we have Warren Soul Trader. It's 2 generic, 1 black. It's a zombie, goblin, wizard. Haven't seen too many of those in the recent sets. It's a 3/3. Its ability is pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token.
Yeah, this is good.
So, any treasure deck, and that's where I see this. I could potentially see this in my Rowan deck as well. Just in case, because I do make some tokens throughout it when I have not Necropotence, but Bitter Blossom, I believe. Bitter Blossom, which is the fairy creating one. Bitter Blossom, yeah. So that's what I would see this in, because I'm going to be able to ramp a little bit faster, get those X abilities up. So I say this is a slay. I can't really not see it, though, in a non-treasure deck. I can see this in an aristocratic deck as well. What are your thoughts, Tom?
It's hands down a slay. It's a 3 mana Pitiless Plunderer. But only difference is that you're paying 1 life. Or it's a 3 mana creature that's also a Phyrexian Altar. Yeah, it's so good in like decks that you want to create those infinite triggers of, sacrifice, right? And the fact that you're only paying 1 life, whatever. Have a Blood Artist and a Zulaport, that 1 life gets negated. This is good.
Yep, slay it is. What do we have next, Tom?
Necro Dominance. 3 black mana. Legendary enchantment. Skip your draw step. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay any amount of life and draw that many cards. Your maximum hand size is 5. If a card or token would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So here is the thing. Get Necro Dominance out. Awesome. It's just like Necropotence. Only difference is that your maximum hand size is 5. I believe if you put a Reliquary Tower out, it negates it because now you have 2 rules that are kind of combating each other.
No.
And I think you obviously want to go with the rule that's going to help you the most. And I don't know if there's... We would have to ask the judge on that, but I'm pretty sure the Reliquary Tower stops or makes your hand size whatever amount anyways. So...
I say slay.
It's a slay.
All right, that's going to be it for the black. We're going to go over to the white. I'm going to start with Pearl Ear Imperial Advisor. 1 generic, 2 white. It's a Fox Advisor. It's 3/4. It's got lifelink. Enchantment spells you cast have affinity for auras. It's no longer just artifacts. And what affinity means is they cost 1 less to cast for each aura I control. Whenever you cast an aura spell that targets a modified permanent you control, draw a card. So, this is another draw ability, draw creature, as well as now the affinity, so now your auras cost less. You know, if you're
Enchantments.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to be auras.
No.
Enchantments cost less for each aura.
Yeah, so you need to have a couple of auras out there to then utilize for the enchantments. But yes, you are right.
Still less cost on the enchantments. Throw this in your Arna deck and then throw in the Anointed Procession. Now you're going to be copying those auras, making a crap ton of them, reducing the enchantment cost. You can have an Anointed Procession for 1 mana at that point.
Yeah,
Boom.
that's why I'm 100% putting this in any aura deck. That's why Arna is my commander. I was even saying it to you before. I don't think we were on camera. Like, all I have to do is just take out my Ariette the Charmed Apple and put in Ariette the Beguiler, put that in the 99, and then put Arna and a couple of blue spells in there, and I'm already done, considering I have the whole base done with Ariette.
Yeah, I mean, this card's good. It's reducing mana costs and you're drawing. It helps out with all the, modified creature-esque decks that exist.
Oh,
And it's also a great commander, too.
Slay.
It's a slay.
What do we have next?
Metastatic Evangel. 1 white, 1 generic creature, Phyrexian Human Cleric. It's a 3/1. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. Yeah. That's good.
2 mana for...
Yeah, there's nothing else to it. It's just the fact that you get to, whenever a non-creature enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate.
Great utility card.
Yeah, there's so many different ways I could see this getting played. I mean, throw this in the Blink deck. Blink counters.
I just imagine as well in like
Blink Planeswalkers. Because you have the Eternal Wanderer, the 6 mana cost one. That one you're going to be blinking creatures in and out because it has that +1 ability to do so. Exile, bring it back to the battlefield at your end step. Yeah, I mean, that's good.
So absolute slay.
Super slay.
Alright, last one that we have on the white cards is Recruiter of the Guard. 2 generic, 1 white. It is a human soldier. It's a 1/1. When Recruiter of the Guard enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with toughness 2 or less. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. This is another tutor. I just think of, if I need Esper Sentinel, if I need, even if, let's say anything with power 2, with toughness of 2, you're getting that out there. I could see this as a utility card as well. But plain and simple, it's another tutor. Yes, it has the toughness of 2 or less, but you're going to be using this in that style of a deck where you can find easily a card to bring out. What do you think?
I was trying to do a quick search to see what type of cards would really fit with this.
Yeah,
One of the ones that stood out was a Dockside Extortionist. That's probably the number one thing that you would bring out right away with this card. That's broken. Dockside, Esper Sentinel,
Ragavan.
certain mana dorks like the Delighted Halfing, if you know you're going against someone with counter synergies.
Yeah, throw this in a Bant deck. You easily have a lot of options to go after. Seeing it in Abzan, Boros, Naya, Mono White. There's a lot of utility here. So that's why it's an absolute slag, because it's pretty versatile in a lot of decks out there. Slay?
It's a slay.
All right.
What's next, Kyle?
We've got multicolor on the Slayer name portion. Psychic Frog is going to be our first one. It is Demir. So 1 blue, 1 black. Frog creature, 1/2. Power toughness. When it deals damage, combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. Then, if you want to discard a card, you get to put a 1/1 counter on Psychic Frog. Then you can exile 3 cards from your graveyard. Psychic Frog gains flying until end of turn. So this creature has a lot of different opportunities being set for you for the board. Because if you exile 3 cards from your graveyard, you're giving it flying, so you're more than likely going to be able to deal damage, so you're drawing a card. Then if you want to discard a card, and maybe you have a discard synergy going on, this is going to be great for that because all you have to do is just discard. That's why I think it's an absolute slay. It really works more so in a discard in my eyes, maybe in a +1/+1 as well. It's not really for that though. I think it's the brokenness of the discard ability. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, having the ability to discard a certain card that you want in your graveyard really can help you out with setting up your next play properly. And most likely it's for reanimation, right? If you turn to this, be able to throw a Consecrated Sphinx into the graveyard, and then that later turn, or maybe the next following turn, be able to play a reanimate afterwards, you're doing the thing that you're trying to do, right? There's a lot of different ways I see this card being very useful. It's a good thing this card's not a legendary creature, because if it was a commander, it'd be a really good commander.
Oh yeah, it's cheap.
Cheap, draw, and it has the ability to at least, make it evasive, but also discarding it, putting +1/+1 counter synergies on.
Yep, so absolute slay.
Give it a slide.
What do we got next, Tom?
The Necrobloom. It is Abzan and 1 generic legendary creature plant. It has landfall ability. Oh wow, landfall. That's actually interesting. With the landfall ability, you're going to, every time a land enters the battlefield, you're creating a 0/1 green plant creature token. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token instead. Lands cards in your graveyard have Dredge 2. That's cool. I think that's really cool. A lot of good things that you can definitely throw. You could probably throw this in your Gave deck. Or Gave.
I like Gabe more. He sounds cooler.
Gave. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways.
So, what are you thinking with this? I think landfall deck, absolutely.
It has the landfall. It has
the mill as well.
And the other big thing is that you're creating 2/2 black zombies after you control 7 or more lands. I mean, you're running this mainly.
Oh my god, this is like a zombie Scute Swarm almost.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, this in itself is a great commander.
Yeah.
Kind of goes with the next card that we're going to talk about, but Necrobloom is a slay.
Yeah, it's a slay.
But the next one we have up is White of the Reliquary. It is Golgari, so green-black, Zombie Knight, 2/2. It's got Vigilance. White of the Reliquary gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Then you have this tap ability, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. So this card has so many utilities because whether you want to use it for mill and you have creature cards in the graveyard, you're going to start beefing it up even more. It's got Vigilance as well, so when you beef it up and you attack, you can still use it to defend. Then the sacrifice another creature, by tapping it, you're going to search your library and for a land card, put it on. This is going to be great in the 99-4 Necrobloom. This is going to be a great engine for it because you can now guarantee that you're going to be putting a land down, thus creating more 0/1s. So it's going to create this infinite loop.
Sacrifice a 0/1, boom.
Absolutely, and then all we need is something to keep untapping this creature whenever we want.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Staff of Domination would probably be the obvious pick. Especially fits really well with any type of green decks. Staff of Domination for the untapped ability, because chances are you're going to have at least one of those things to be able to untap for whatever.
Ooh, or if I have... I literally just had the card name in my head. It was Seedborn Muse.
Yeah.
At the beginning of each end step, untap all permanents.
Yeah, Seedborn Muse. Silly. That would be silly.
But I think this would be fun in my Gave deck for sure as well.
Yeah, you can definitely throw it in the Gave deck. Help you with the ramping. It's such a good card.
Absolute slap. What do we got next?
We got Rao. He's back, baby. Monsoon. Oh, God. Monsoon Mage. Legendary creature. Human wizard for 1 red and 1 generic. It's comes out as a 1/3. Instant sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less. That's awesome. And whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell during your turn, you're going to flip a coin. And if you lose the flip, Rao is going to deal 1 damage to you. But if you win the flip, oh my god, you can exile him and return him to the battlefield, transformed under his owner's control. And guess what? He comes in as a planeswalker. That's right, Rao the Leyland Prodigy. Basically, when it enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on him for each instant sorcery spell you've casted this turn. So the more you end up casting, you lose that flip and then you win it. Awesome. That's great. That's what you want. So comes out originally just with 2 loyalty counters, but since you're going to cast at least 1 instant, it's going to come out with 3 at least. With the +1 ability, it's going to still have that, instant sorcery spells casting 1 less. For the -2 ability, it's going to deal 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Rao. And then for the -8 ability, you're going to exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may cast instant sorcery spells from among them this turn without paying their mana costs. Cool. A lot of cool things about this. What I really like is the fact that it's only 2 mana. You're reducing your instants and sorcery spell cost by a lot. And then if you can, let's say turn 2, you play this. Turn 3, you play an instant sorcery that wins the flip. And then boom, you have Rao Prodigy. Turn 3, you're going to be able to at least -2, deal that 2 damage however you want. And you're going to be able to draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Rao. I think that's a lot of value right there. Also, just the fact that you're reducing your mana cost is a lot of value. And if you get that sweet -8 ability, ooh, that's some serious stuff right there. It'd be really fun in an Izzet deck that's based around Storm. But yeah, that's for me, it's a slag. I don't know how you feel about it, Kyle.
It's any Storm deck. I mean, you could throw the other Rao, Storm Conduit, you can throw Grape Shot, Seething Song, all the other cards that you need to keep ramping up and keep compounding the amount of spells that you're doing. 1,000-Year Storm is another one that comes to mind immediately. So, as long as you're using these cards.
Yeah, for me, it's like you want to run this with a Mizzix Mastery. You want to run this with Arcane Bombardment, because what they do is they exile and then exile the cards, and then you have to cast it. Also run this with Underworld Breach, because you want to have cast effects, not copy effects, because it goes based off of that. So if you play like Mizzix Mastery while Rao's on the battlefield, you miss the flips on like the first few spells, and then you get the last spell to actually hit. That thing's going to come out much closer to that ultimate ability. And so it's a lot of different utility that comes out of this. 2 mana. It's a slay to me.
Slay.
All right, what's next, Kyle?
Nadu, Winged Wisdom. It's a bird wizard. It's 3/4 power toughness, 1 generic and Simic. It's got flying. Creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. This ability only triggers twice each turn. Oh my god. I just have to point out, first of all, that it says put it onto the battlefield, the land card. So all these lands that you have, that 2-3 colors, you don't have to put them tapped anymore. Like with a lot of the other conditions on Cultivate, a lot of other ones. I mean, Nature Lore, if you really need me to go down it, let's not try and just test that because I don't feel like doing 10 of them. But you get to reveal cards, so now you get to kind of look at the top card of your library. And this gets to happen twice each turn. I like the little bit of a limiter, but the cards that I'm immediately thinking of is Landfall deck. You're putting in Seeker of the Skybreak, you're putting a Pheto Alchemist, putting in Skewed Swarm. You want to be able to keep tapping it and untapping.
This, to me, it's like you wanna really abuse the ability where it's creatures you control have whenever this creature becomes a target of a spell or ability.
And that includes powering up your creatures.
Yeah, so like the first thing that you think of is that bristly bill.
Yeah.
Because land enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 on counter or target creature. That +1/+1 getting put on something is going to trigger Nadu. Nadu triggers if you hit that land, you get to do it all over again. And so you keep going until it stops. That's disgusting.
I wonder why you chose this.
There's so many different other things that you can target with it, right? Protection spells, Tamiyo, going into like Tyvar's stand, having even like what is it? Like artifacts and their abilities with the equipment targeting it is going to trigger it. There's a lot of different things you can do. Exile effects, right? Displacer Kitten, having multiple times where you can have that effect pop off, and then be able to throw in a Tireless Provisioner as well in there to keep that ramp going. Another cool thing that you could do is having copy cards. The copy cards are going to target that ability or target, Nadu. Now you copy it, and then all of a sudden you're going to be doubling the reveal effects. So there's also one more that I'm thinking of. It's one of the Orvar, the all form changing or whatever. And then Orvar and Vesivan Displacement, I think it's called. Basically the ones where it's like target creature, copy creature. Yeah.
Vesuvan Diplomacy.
Yes, Vesuvan Diplomacy. Target creature, copy creature. Copy the creature. Yeah, that's right. Except it's not legendary. This card can be broken.
I like it. Slay.
It's a slay.
What do we got for the next one?
Flage. I think that's how you pronounce it. Titan of Fire's Fury. It's Boros, one generic legendary creature, Elder Giant, 6/6. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escapes. Whenever Flage enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to any target. You gain 3 life. What I like about this is that it's in Boros. So it's basically like Croxa, Euro, Titan, but one thing that those cards are missing is the white color. Why is that important? Because if you throw in a strict Proctor Mage in here, where now it removes all the enter the battlefield effects unless you pay 2, you're not going to pay the 2 because guess what? You don't want to sacrifice it. So when it enters the battlefield, it removes that ability effect so it can stay in, and now you can just have a 3 mana 6/6 onto the battlefield. Turn 1, let's say you play Esper Sentinel. Turn 2, play Strict Proctor Mage. Turn 3, you play this. You have a 6/6 on the battlefield that's going to do a lot of damage.
Burning is fun. Burning is fun.
Gaining life's fun too.
Slay it is then.
I give it a slay.
Alright, you chose this land, so.
Uggin's Labyrinth has the imprint. When Uggin's Labyrinth enters the battlefield, you may exile a colorless card, mana value 7 or greater from your hand. Add a generic if a card is exiled with Uggin's Labyrinth, add 2 generic instead, and then you can tap it, return the exiled card to the owner's hand. Yeah, this is good. Throw in the Eldrazi deck. Throw in any expensive, what do you call it? Those greater mana 5 or greater decks. Chances are you're going to have a lot of 7 mana greater cards in there. Eldrazi's, yeah, it's good.
Slay. Alright, next up we have the colorless section. Alright, we're on to the colorless portion of Slay or Nay. We're going to start out with Kozilek, the Broken Reality. It's 9 generic legendary Eldrazi creature, 9/9. When you cast this spell, up to 2 target players each manifest 2 cards from their hands. For each card manifested this way, you draw a card. And to manifest a card, put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature. Turn it face up any time for its mana cost if it's a creature card. Then other colorless creatures you control get +3/+2. So when you play this, you're drawing 2 cards immediately, and then you get to take control of their creature cards. Great utility, Eldrazi. That's all I can really think of around it. What do you think about it, Mr. Thomas?
I'm researching.
Got it.
Beep, beep. So you're drawing 4 cards off the bat by casting this. You're putting 2 cards onto the battlefield that are in your 2 target players' hands.
Oh, so you're drawing 4. Got it.
Because chances are you're going to be playing this in the later turns. So turn 5, turn 6 at the like earliest, but when you do get this out, you get to draw 4. Your chances are your opponents are going to have like 2 or 3 cards left in their hand, and if they have to manifest those cards, those could be pretty important cards for the next following turns, and so they need those, you know, creatures to actually die when they become 2/2 morphs. And with, you know, them becoming 2/2 morphs, those could be some, you know, winning cards that are now on the battlefield that are just now basic 2/2 creatures. So a lot of synergy in that. And then the other colorless creatures that you control get +3/+2. I think this card's a little bit underwhelming, but the thing is with colorless is that you can typically ramp up to like that amount of mana and get away with it. And typically you're going to be playing a lot of other colorless creatures, a lot of other colorless Eldrazi's. I'll give it a slay. I just don't know how well it will hold up, because I think the other Kozilek's way better than this one, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a nay.
I might just give it a nay too. I think it's underwhelming.
All right, nay it is. What's next?
Emrakul, The World Anew. 12 generic mana, legendary creature, Eldrazi. When you cast a spell, gain control of all other creatures target player controls. Yeah, that first sentence already beats the Kozilek, in my opinion. Find protection from spells and from permanents that were cast this turn, so that's awesome.
Can't counter it.
You get to at least you can counter it because it has to be on the battlefield for that effect to work. And then when Emrakul, The World Anew, leaves the battlefield, sacrifice all 6 creatures, or sacrifice all creatures you control. Also has the madness, pay 6 generic. What the hell?
Nah, it's a 12/12 on top of it.
You can discard this card, play this for 6 mana. Or yeah. What? This is way different than Kozilek. This is huge. This card's broken.
This card is an absolute slay.
You gain control of target players' creatures. All of them.
Somebody's been building up their board state for a while. You get to take them all and you can attack if they don't have summoning sickness. Boom.
Dog, you can play this on like turn 4.
Yeah, this is an absolute slay. Alright, next one we've got Ulamog the Defiler. 10 generic mana, it's a 7/7 Eldrazi. When you cast a spell, target opponent exiles half their library rounded up. Already better than the Kozilek as well, because you're getting rid of it. It has Ward, which is sacrifice 2 permanents. Not just creatures or enchantments, it can be lands as well. And Ulamog the Defiler enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. Oh my goodness. So you're taking out an Omniscience, you're taking out a Galta.
Yep.
Like, you're getting an insane amount of +1/+1 counters on it.
Yep.
And then on top of that, Ulamog has Annihilator X, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on it. Oh. So let's say it's a Vorinclex, 6 mana. Now this gets +6/+6, and then when he attacks, you now have to sacrifice 6 permanents because of its Annihilator. That is filthy.
Yeah.
Filthy. What do you think?
Yeah, I see this card being really good in the 99, and specifically the 99 I would like consider it contains like, what do you call it? It contains green in that 99 in a sense. +1/+1 counter synergies are huge. And yeah, exactly what you said. Vorinclex with this, disgusting. And then if you're able to give it trample haste, even better.
Absolute slay.
Yep, it's slay.
Last one that we have for the colorless is going to be Null Drifter, 7 generic. Whenever you cast a spell, draw 2 cards. It's got flying and Annihilator 1. It's a 4/4. We don't even really care about any of that. We just want it for its evoke cost, which is 2 generic and 1 blue. Basically just turned Null Drifter into an Eldrazi Elemental. Absolute slay. Pay 3 mana, draw 2 cards. Easy peasy. So slay in my eyes. Tom?
Yeah, throw this in your Yarrick deck.
Absolutely. So that's going to be the last of our Slayer nays for colors and colorless. We're just going to kind of go over the next little piece. Stay tuned.